Welcome back to a fresh week with another Rebel's Edge. And the heartbeat market continues. Pete and I will break that down as well as what's going on with sports and prediction markets on today's Rebel's Edge. I haven't decided what to put on the green screen behind me yet, Pete. I'm working on it.
How about like the city of Chicago, maybe, or the city of New York or something? I don't know. Maybe it's a stadium or something.
Maybe, but the IRS probably wouldn't like it. And by the way, folks, as always, money back guarantee for today's show. Whatever you've paid us, we'll send you every penny back. In fact, we'll double it. Whatever you paid us for today's show, the 2-for-1, the double, you can hold us to that. We will pay you back. Exactly.
What a deal.
What they paid for today's show, Pete. That's just for any of the hacks out there that might not like things we cover. And we'll say, oh, okay, I'll send you your money back.
There are a few hacks.
There are a few. Sort of like that lady that interviewed Elon Musk, Pete, and said he didn't know what he was talking about when he said there are riots all over Europe. You know, they're friggin' immigrants are fighting with the locals and blah, blah, blah. And she said, I don't think you know what you're talking about. Over the weekend, France is on fire. Belgium's on fire. Belfast is on fire. Dublin's on fire. England's on fire. Oh, I think he knew what he was talking about. And again, if you disagree, I'll send you your money back.
That's fair.
That's fair. I can't be fairer than that. Well, let's see. The U.S. and Iran are again observing a slight ceasefire. But even though it was enough to get the Dow up over 500 points in the pre, we didn't hold on to more than 100 and some odd points of that, Pete, because last week, it was back to that heartbeat market. And this week, we're starting out the same way, Pete. Up, down, just like an EKG.
Yeah, I mean, you want a little bit of volatility. We've got it for sure. I mean, you wake up, you're looking at these markets, they're screaming to the upside. Obviously, like you just said, I mean, WTI dropped all the way down to like 84. It's actually even gotten below there. So down 5.5%, 6.5%, whatever you want to call it. And, you thought like, well, this is going to be an absolutely unbelievable day. And all of a sudden started to leak a little bit, and it leaked a little bit more. And then the next thing you know, you're looking at, like you were just saying, I mean, the Nasdaq strong in positive territory. All of a sudden it's down 0.5%. And then you look over at the Dow, which was up, like you said, 500-600 points, whatever it was. And next thing you know, it's still up 100 and change, but it's up 0.25%. So gives you a little bit of an idea of how much we're seeing going back and forth right now. And I'll tell you what, it's represented pretty well on some of these volatility measurements that we've got out there, John.
Well, speaking of which, give us the VIX, Pete. I imagine the VXN for the Nasdaq is moving more than the one for the S&P. Is that right?
Yeah, but it's funny. It's not probably at the level that either of us would expect. I mean, I think one of the things that was interesting was early on, right at, when the pre-market, VIX was down about 0.5%, or 5%. And then the next thing you know, down about 17.5. Next thing you know, it starts stair-stepping back up again. Next thing you know, it's actually up 5%. It got all the way up to 1950. So, it's interesting to see how it's been moving around. And there we are. We're kind of stuck there still. So a little bit north of 19 right now, up about 3.5%, call it. And then you've got the Vixen, which is also measuring the volatility. That had a little bit of a boost as well. But it's interesting, John. It's come back from the VIX. It's come back and it's back into that range. Call it 17.5 to call it 19, something close to that. So we'll see how it goes throughout the day. But the day certainly changed pretty rapidly from what we thought we were going to see in the early part of the day. And that changed almost immediately.
Like that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about a prediction exchange prediction, Pete. We've got what will Trump say during his remarks at General Motors. So, you know, whoever can predict this is pretty damn good. But I guess these are the top three things that he might say, Pete. One, something about Iran, although that came down 11 points in the last little bit to 64% chance. So if you want to take the other side of that, you don't think he's going to talk about Iran? Well, you can turn whatever, 40 cents into 60 profit. Artificial intelligence, about a 60% chance, and Barack Hussein Obama, 40% chance. Why he would talk about Barack Obama, I have no idea, Pete, but somebody out there is putting money on the line about that. And so good for them. I don't know if he'll be talking about Barack Obama much at the Michigan General Motors deal, but it's down 28%, in fact, the chance that he's going to talk about Barack.
Well, but they clearly thought that there was going to be a really big chance that he was going to say a lot about him. And then you've got, like you said, the AI, the artificial intelligence side of it, which is the one thing that's been going up. So, yeah, I would say that we're going to hear something about AI. But you know what, John? I was just looking at this thinking about, well, he's going to probably say AI a couple of different times. And then is he going to talk about Iran? I would say he probably does. I guess the question is it 3+ times or not? It's
right.
Interesting. And I love these Cal sheet things. They, you know what? They can be very entertaining at times, for sure.
Well, let's flip on over, Pete, to the stocks that are moving today, like QBTS, because it's up sharply. First day of trading on the Nasdaq after transferring from the NYSE. Now, I like the operators of both those exchanges, so I have no prejudice or favorite. I think they're both great, but obviously some companies elect to be on what was formerly known as the tech exchange, Pete, which would be the Nasdaq. And in this case, first day trading on the Nasdaq after starting off on the NYSE, effective today. So that's kind of interesting. And D-Wave Quantum, as it's known, surging on this news.
Yeah, up pretty good. Not only on that news, John, but that AT&T partnership that they kind of were talking about this as well, and they were saying that it can be almost like a game changer, quite frankly, because you know they talk about some of the efficiencies that they get from these tasks that are asked, and because of the quantum, because of D-Wave or whatever, this really could be something that could be amazing. I mean, one of the things that I read, John, that just made me just say, wow, I didn't realize it was that impressive until I looked at these numbers. But they were talking about what used to take them an hour is now all the way down to 15 seconds, not 15 minutes, 15 seconds because of quantum. So you can understand why that's going to be important for AT&T and for D-Wave. It makes sense that this thing is up as much as it is because it's just telling people that much more. They're gonna read about that much more on how much they are changing. And in this particular case with AT&T and this partnership they've got, that's going to be pretty damn impressive.
Yeah. Well, also impressive, Pete, Workday.
Yeah.
Trading higher, basically due to broader strength in software and application stocks. A lot of you probably don't really know what Workday does. It almost seems like it might be a competitor to WeWork or something like that, Pete, but it's not at all. It's enterprise intelligence platforms and so forth. And apparently up about 9% today on approximately 2 million shares traded. It looks like they're having a pretty good day. And let's see, for the 52-week high, they are a far cry from that, Pete. That's 249.
Yeah.
After today's rally, it's 147. So in other words, it's been smashed, and this might be one of them that people are starting to accumulate.
Yeah, and especially when you're looking at, it's been down in this sort of range, John, for a while now. You go all the way to March where it fell, and it kind of didn't stop there, but it got pretty close to stopping there, and it's been in this range ever since. So pretty interesting to see what's going on there. Like you were talking about what they do and so forth and the strength in software. I'll tell you, one of the things that I also was looking at, John, I just wanted to look at what are the nuts and bolts of the company? What does it really look like? They're up whatever percentage that is, pretty significant, but they got about 11 to 15% short interest there. So that's something that could give them not just a big move today, but a big move into the future. Their balance sheet is absolutely pristine. The free cash flow that they've got at 3.5 or 3.1 billion, I'd say that's pretty damn good. And by the way, when you look at where their PE is right now, the price to earnings, it's trading at a 12. So all of that, I think, makes me think that Workday might be one that we'd like to keep a nice close eye on, looking for some unusual options in here for sure, John. And one of the other things that I would say is they talked a little bit about their earnings and the possibility that they'd be up. At least it's reflecting the fact that they'd be up 26% year over year for their earnings. So that's a pretty decent number, and I can imagine those numbers could go even higher. So we'll see when the time comes.
Yep. Well, let's dive in, Pete, to BitMine Immersion Technology. Mm-hmm. This is a friend of ours, and I say that in all seriousness. Tom Lee is a brilliant guy and a good friend of both Pete's and John's.
Yep.
Tom Lee is the chairman of BMNR. He was brought in there a little over a year ago, Pete, and he has bought Ethereum, or ETH, every single week since they began that trading strategy back June 30th of 2025. So they are, if not the largest, one of the largest, and I think they're the largest owner of Ethereum, basically $11.8 billion worth of those ETH crypto holdings. And the thing's making a nice upside move today, Pete.
It really is. And you know what? It's interesting. I think we've seen a little bit of unusual actually in this name very, very recently. So interesting to see that. You were talking about the fact that he's done that every single week. He's bought ETH every single week. It's amazing, but it's an incredible number that starts to add up in a big way in the world of crypto. And I'll tell you, it's up, 12% today? I think you're spot on. And this is something, he's never hidden his love of this stuff, by the way. Tom Lee's been very much one of those guys. And if I don't forget, I think I remember very clearly, a lot of people giving him a lot of flack, John, way back when. Well, these numbers are a lot higher now than they were when he first started on all this stuff. So I think Tom's been on the right side of this one in a big way. And I would say he's probably on the right side of it still.
Yep. Well, let's talk about one that's been on the right side of a lot of energy exploration throughout its history, Pete. Mm-hmm. Baker Hughes, BKR. Baker Hughes non-GAAP EPS basically comes in at 64 cents. They were predicting 15. So in other words, Pete, they pretty much 4x'd it. Which is pretty damn good. You'd expect a pop of double digits on that kind of performance. Revenue also beat by about almost $250 million. Almost everything in this report, Pete, and I'm not going to come up with a but. I'm saying almost everything in this report was perfect. Yeah. Perfectly good to drive this stock to the upside. And that's exactly what BKR is doing. And if you look at a chart, Pete, this thing a year ago was 44 bucks. It traded all the way up in May to about 70, pulled back, and is now on its way back perhaps towards 70. It's at 61 bucks, give or take.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. And they're in the right place, John. They talked about the demand. They said LNG, huge demand. Power technology, still massive demand. So when you look at that, you look at what it's done even year to date, and you see it's off of certain levels, but still up 33% year to date. That's not so terrible, I would say. As you said, the earnings, they beat it. The revenue, they beat it. That's been a theme that you and I have been talking about for probably the better part of a year and a half. And I know a lot of guys have tried to jump on this bandwagon and they've been missing it, but every quarter I think they want to come in there and go, well, it's probably not going to be able to sustain this kind of a thing. Well, it is, and it continues to be. And I'll tell you what, when you look at the percentage of beats on the earnings side and the revenue side so far, I think the last I looked at it, John, it was close to like 85, 88% or something like that. So It remains very, very strong and very impressive. And Baker Hughes, right place, right time, and they execute very, very well. So, yeah, the demands for them are pretty impressive.
I'd say, yeah, absolutely perfect. I mean, I think these earnings show that they're doing everything right, Pete, controlling costs, lots of demand. And if demand is up and you've got the supply, you can demand more money for it. Yeah. All right, let's take a quick look at some of the greatest plays that this gentleman put together, Pete, from Major League Baseball. Because, you know, we've talked about the World Cup lately. We've talked about maybe about women's basketball and the WNBA, Pete. By the way, I would have been embarrassed to run those highlights today. There were so many shots that were just air balls in the WNBA All-Star game. And allegedly, that's the best. Those are the best. If Caitlin Clark wasn't playing there, Pete, nobody would watch. It would be right back to those same 200 people in the stands. But the NBA and WNBA don't really understand that, I guess. So at least partly because I didn't want to torture you people, I didn't put that video up. Maybe I'll torture you tomorrow, depending how many ask for their money back, Pete. So here is the highlights of Major League Baseball plays. Take a look.
That guy was up in the air, by the way. I mean, that was... Baseball used to be guys that were a little paunchy and all that kind of stuff. Ain't the way anymore, John. And these guys show it with what they do.
And how about that when you have that much faith in your partner? He steps over to the bag, and yet they get these double plays because the one guy knew he couldn't get to the ball, so he went to the bag, and the other guy gets him the ball.
That's an unbelievable play.
Bang, bang. How about the behind-the-back flip here, Pete?
You know, that's why when they're screwing around out there, they can actually practice on those kind of throws to the guys, John. Yeah, you gotta love it, though. I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah, the one that you'd also like, Pete, was former Cubs pitcher and my friend and neighbor, Kerry Woods, comes on the field at Wrigley, I think, Pete, for the Savannah Bananas. He's pitching for the Savannah Bananas. Now, I'm not saying he's coming out of retirement and doing that, but he did an exhibition at least. And the funny thing, Pete, is he goes through his windup and everything, and he throws the ball behind his back and makes it look like he's throwing with his left hand. And instead he throws the ball behind his back, and it's a strike. I mean, the Savannah Bananas are the best. That is entertainment. And you know, obviously a lot of great showmen and great athletes too, some of whom actually make it up to the major leagues.
Yeah.
Kerry Woods is the other way. He already was a major leaguer with a lot of great records for the Cubs. And now apparently he occasionally will show up for the Bananas.
Well, one of the things that I was going to do last week, I didn't do it. Maybe we'll do it someday this week or whatever, if we're talking baseball specifically too. I'll tell you what, John, there's some videos of Bo Jackson throwing the ball from left field and getting it to first base or home. And guys are saying, I don't know how fast. I mean, the ball's got to be traveling at 100 miles an hour for that to happen or more. So you just got to love the sheer athleticism of that guy. I mean, absolutely in everything he ever did. He's the best.
Well, I'll throw this one out, Pete, and I might be able to find this one. I saw a video of him last week, and it was a player saying he's never seen a player like Bo Jackson. And so he said, I have seen 4 balls. I think he said 4 balls that have hit the roof of the Kingdome in the outfield. 4 balls. Yeah. And he said, then I saw Bo Jackson step up to the plate as a lefty. And Bo goes, watch this. Boom! And knocks it into the top of the Kingdome, which they don't play in anymore. It's gone. But knocked it into the roof of the Kingdome. Lefty.
Lefty. Yeah, I think that was Reynolds. I think he was the guy talking about that, John, who played at Seattle for a long time. Hey,
Yep.
speaking of interesting things going on in the world of sports, how about Triple M, the Open, the Men's Open? Unbelievable, John. Let me tell you, temperatures were outrageous. The guys held themselves up pretty well. I got the opportunity to be with a guy or two from that group or whatever, putting on the 3M. And I'll tell you, unbelievable. But the real story was, and it took a little while to develop, but Jackson Kovan, the kid's played, this is his third event ever, John. He's 21 years old. And it was 5 weeks ago, but his third time that he's played. And he goes out there, he shoots a 61 in the third round. Next thing you know, the kid is 25 under when he wins the 3M Open. I mean, 25 under. I mean, Scotty Scheffler and these guys, they're all just kind of looking around going, who is this guy? Because he just joined, 21-year-old kid. But really, really impressive. And I think the good thing about that is I like the fact that we're seeing some of this in golf, some of the younger guys kind of coming up. And it's pretty cool. And wow, the kid, you know what the kid did afterwards? He finishes playing golf, and everything is great. Everybody's gone. He goes back out there with a fishing pole and starts fishing in one of the ponds that's out there for a water hazard. I mean, he's a kid. That's what kids do. But how cool is that? I mean, we talked about the 3M Open a little bit last week, but there's something special about some of these young guys that are coming into different sports. And you know what? He's going to be the guy because the guy, John, at the very end when he needed to drop the ball in, and he did. I mean, he just casually walked up, grabs the ball. I mean, like he's been there before. It was really, really cool to watch, and a huge success. I didn't see what the ratings were, but from what I hear from some of the insiders there who were on TV, it sounds like people really were loving this whole thing just because of how it all played out and everything. So
Sure.
pretty cool one. I thought that was great. And I love the fact that there's some young guns coming into the sport, right? Because some of the names, we've seen for like 20 years and it's like, all right, that's all good, but let's maybe move on a little bit. So anything on the golf? I mean, you and I are big golfers, right?
Oh, yeah. We're big long ball hitters. Bryson DeChambeau has nothing on Pete. Yeah, I love to hit, but I don't like to play golf. I just love to hit. So I love to drive. That's my thing. And I don't care if it's irons or woods. I just like to drive.
Yeah.
And get a lot out of that. Don't get as much out of playing 4 hours and, chasing that little white ball around, Pete. In my case, a couple holes, it might be freaking damn near 400 yards down the center. And then a couple others, it might be 300 either way. I mean, I'll be honest. That's why I don't play golf.
Well, the NFL camps are starting, John. It's really cool. Some of them have started, and it's going to be great. Arizona and Carolina are the two that are going to be playing in that Hall of Fame game. That's actually not far away. It's August 6th, so not too far away at all now, man.
Next week.
Yeah. But all these teams are going to practice, and all that type of thing. And, what do you think about some of the changes that have happened out there, John, as far as I look at it and I'm looking at Myles Garrett in a Rams uniform, and it hasn't quite gotten me yet. I haven't quite figured that out. But there's a lot of changes in the NFL, too, this year. I mean, I think some of the really well-known players have moved on to other places. Plus, you got the additional, like obviously the latest, greatest player coming out of college, Fernando Mendoza, going to the Raiders and all that type of stuff. Is there something you're seeing out there that you like about what these teams, after you thought about a little, now that they're going to camp? Who do you like? Who do you like going to the Super Bowl?
Pete, if he's healthy, I do like. Still, I think Denver is in great position.
Yeah.
If that kid hadn't had that injury, Knicks, at the end of the season in the playoffs, they would have been a team that would have given Seattle a run, I think. Seattle's still Seattle, although they got to find a running back, and they might not get one as good as the one they had. He's playing for Kansas City now. and he might be a difference maker at Kansas City. Well, I won't say that. I'll say he is a difference maker. Question is whether it's enough to get him into the Super Bowl, because they've got some older players like Mr. Kelsey, or should I say Mr. Swift. But
what if I want it back?
Yeah, you want your money back, folks? I'll send you your money back. Whatever you pay, I'll send you your money. But Pete, I liked when you were going after the cornerbacks too.
Yeah.
Not just QBs, which are high paid, left tackles, which are high paid, but and rushmen like you and I were with out in Vegas, but cornerbacks. Yeah. I had no idea these guys were as well paid as they are.
Well, the top 3 guys are making $30 million a year. And the interesting thing is there's a guy who's going to get more than that. He's going to be the number 1 guy. It just hasn't really fully gotten out there out of the press yet. But Christian Gonzalez from New England, John. Big, tall, lanky corner, great. He can run like a deer. Plus, he's got the size. You know, usually those corners are usually maybe a 6-footer, something like that. I think he's the better part of almost 6'3" or 4. I mean, so he's one of these long guys who can do a lot. So he's going to be the highest paid corner in the NFL. It's just a matter of how much do they really pay him. And you know what? My guess is that they were trying to work on this whole thing, and it's probably going to be somewhere between 35 and 40 million a year. Probably. So not so bad. And I think that's going to be pretty exciting for everybody in New England, because let's not forget, New England's a pretty damn good football team. I mean, they were in the Super Bowl, for crying out loud. They got a lot of pieces to the puzzle, and they've added some others. So that's going to be, wow, there was a person just going through there. I don't know who the hell that was.
That was Loopy.
Oh, is that my wife? Anyway, last thing I'll say, this. LeBron James, well, he did it again, John. He went to somebody, and he's trying to buy his way into being in the finals because it wasn't working any longer with LA. So he figures, well, let me get somewhere. Well, it looks like he decides to go to Philadelphia and partner up with those guys. This is not the way Michael Jordan did it, which is why it's not even a conversation about is he the greatest LeBron. It's Michael. And all you got to do is listen to guys like Rodman and some of the guys who actually played. The guy was a killer. And he didn't do it by building something. He did it by getting the guys that they had. They played like crazy. And you know what? Michael was driven, very much like Kobe, who is probably the number 2 guy in my book. But LaFlop is now going to be at Philadelphia, John.
Yeah, LaFlop. And we'll see, Pete. Does he make the players around him better? At his age, my answer is no. Michael, up until, his last season, was it with like the Washington Bullets or whatever they were called back then, Pete? I don't even remember. But, and that was mainly because he was getting a piece of the team and things like that. And then ultimately Carolina, and then he sold that. But LeBron's just going out with the Sixers, and he thinks, well, they got some great players. They do, but they're oft injured players. And when you have oft injured players and a guy that needs to load manage his load, I'm thinking we'll see. I don't think these guys make a run into the playoffs very deep at all, Pete. But let's see. We'll see. We'll see if a 40-some-odd-year-old LeBron can actually still play with a bunch of guys that are kind of dinged up.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, folks. Remember, send any of your requests for money back to @Jared Wenkman @Market Rebellion. Jared will be sure to mail back those checks to you guys.
Thanks,
as much as 2 for 1, whatever you paid, we'll double it and get it back to you. But we will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll see you then.